What's up, guys? Tonight's video is going to be very different than usual. I'm going to be talking about Pectus excavatum, which is a birth defect that I was born with myself. It's where your sternum, if you're not aware, your sternum is concave, so you kind of have like a hole in your chest almost, what it looks like. Mine was very, very severe, and I thought it was super, super rare, which it kind of is. But until once I got a little bit older, I met a lot of people who have it, a lot of people who have dealt with it, know people who have dealt with it, maybe not as severe as myself, but have dealt with it and the insecurities that come along with it. And I also posted a video on TikTok that didn't go really viral, but had a couple, like 20,000 views, something like that. And I got my DMs flooded with people asking how the surgery was, how the recovery was, how I gained chest muscle, how I, just kind of overcame the deficit of having that birth defect. And I just want to talk about that a little bit today. I'm not going to go in a whole lot of depth. This is going to be kind of just a broad little discussion of what I went through, how the surgery was, how basically everything I just covered. Just going to go over that here briefly, and then I'm going to post maybe a couple short videos on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts as well. And if you guys have any more questions, you're welcome to DM me whenever. My DMs are always open. And if you guys want me to go into more depth in a later date, then I will definitely do that. So my chest looked like this. I'll have some pictures up on the screen. This is what I looked like before. I might have already added some pictures, but these will be some more. And this is how my chest is looking now. Obviously a pretty massive difference here. The way that I was able to do that was not just by training, because obviously my entire bone structure changed. I had surgery on my chest. It's called Nuss bar placement surgery, and you can see the scars. I have one here, and then I have one also here. So those two scars are from two metal bars, big metal bars that got put into my chest, and they were what's the terminology? They were fused to my bones on both sides of my ribs. So what they did is they cut a little hole beneath my sternum, and then they put like this hook underneath my sternum and used my own body weight to pop my ribs out, and then put the bars underneath my ribs, and then kind of put them there for, I think I had them for almost 5 years, like 4.5 years. It's kind of like braces. So how your teeth are shifted slowly, they do it all in one movement. So it's a pretty not fun experience. For most people, they're usually in the hospital around 2 to 3 days after the surgery. I was in the hospital for 8 days due to the fact that my lungs got filled up with liquid, which was not very good or ideal. And my severity of my chest was pretty bad. It was covered by the insurance entirely because it wasn't cosmetic. It was something that I was needed because my lung capacity was very, very low compared to the average person, and it was also pushing my heart too far to the left, and it was compressing a lot of things. Had a lot of issues that were not ideal with that, and feel a lot better now. Obviously, I still don't even have 100% lung capacity because my ribs aren't capable to expand how they normally should. But besides that, the recovery at first, I'm not going to lie, was pretty god-awful. I was in the peak of being extremely skinny. As you guys can tell, I was like 110-ish pounds as a junior in high school. And I was able to get all this muscle naturally. I was able to gain everything naturally and through working extremely hard, but the structure I got through the surgery. And if you guys have any questions on what made me do it and why I went through with it, the main thing was, even though it was something that wasn't necessary, but was what the doctors were recommending, I did it. I went through with it because I prayed about it. I went through with it because I had peace about it, and I went through with it because I wasn't as focused on the cosmetic end of it, because I honestly loved having it. I was insecure for a while when I was younger. I would wear t-shirts to the pool. I would play basketball with a t-shirt on, and now I always have my shirt off. If you see me, I love to have my shirt off just because I'm a dude who sweats a lot. I'm not comfortable with clothing a lot of the time. I like to just have my shirt off because it's more comfortable for myself. And I used to be the exact opposite. And I was just very insecure and in my own head and thought I was a weirdo, because realistically I looked like a damn alien. Like I looked crazy with it. And after I had the surgery, there was a sense of almost missing a bit of my identity for a little bit, because I really loved having it deep down. I think it made me feel unique and made me feel special in ways that I hadn't felt in other realms of my life. So it was kind of like a win-lose situation. I was kind of sad about actually losing the uniqueness that it came with it. So if you do have it and you don't have the insurance to cover it because of the severity level, maybe keep it and realize how it makes you unique and how cool it actually is to have something that a lot of people don't see every single day. But everybody comes with those insecurities, and if you do want to gain that muscle around it, because even after I had the surgery, there's still a bit of a concaveness there, and it still looked pretty weird, and you can tell I had no muscle on my chest at all. So I built all of this from just working extremely hard and training properly, eating properly, doing all those things. I'll talk about I talk about my training in almost every single YouTube video that I do, every single TikTok, whatever, Instagram. I post about fitness for the most part. And if you guys have any questions about my nutritions or how I was able to fill in my chest, I can give you guys all the details with that as well. I played basketball in high school and college as well. I was really struggling with my stamina and my conditioning at a younger age because I would just be able to run and then I'd get like a horrible burning sensation in my chest, and it would be very, very, very difficult for me to continue running without hurting and feeling like I was having not an asthma attack, but almost like my chest was just on fire. It was a horrible, horrible feeling, and it was just really difficult for me to play basketball. And that's when I first went to the doctor because I was like, I assumed this was just cosmetic and I was in my head, and then it got to the point to where it was actually affecting how my everyday life was. And I went to the doctor, did some breathing tests, the lung capacity thing, the heart issue, and then I had to take out my entire junior year of high school. I had to take off, and I didn't get to play any basketball, and I didn't go to school for almost 6 months. So the relationships that I had with my friends and the friendships, the friend groups that I was in were altered, and it was just, kind of difficult to be kind of by myself as much as I was for that time period. And it really showed me, at first I was sad because I was like, what am I missing out on? I had a lot of FOMO with all the parties and the things that everybody was doing. I had to sit in my chair. I couldn't even, I had really bad scoliosis as well, and that was kind of corrected with me having better posture, and it really, really hurt my back, almost not as much as my chest, obviously, but my back was hurting for a long time period. So I had trouble sitting in chairs. I had trouble just being comfortable doing anything. So I stayed in my house for like 6 months straight, and it seemed to be like a curse at the time, and I was very sad, and it seemed like it was very unfortunate. And then it opened my eyes on who my true friends were. Everybody who came to visit me, somebody's blaring music over there, but it came to show me who my true friends were and who came to visit and actually cared about me getting better, and not only cared about me seeing that I was starting to feel better, but cared about my mental state and cared enough to be there whenever I couldn't do shit and would just sit in the house with me and watch shows and talk with me and hang out with me. And I got really behind in school. I really struggled doing homeschooling because I had to do that for that time period. And I really, really struggled with sports because I fell in love with basketball. And at that point, I wasn't very good. I barely made the varsity team. I had never played any varsity minutes yet at that point as a junior. I hadn't played at all just because I want to say I didn't get some opportunities that I believed I deserved. But at the same time, I hadn't really proven myself as much. And I want to do all these things. And then I have this huge surgery, and I was just extremely sad. So I come back the next year, and before that summer, I request to have another year of school because my grades were god-awful, first of all, and then second of all, I missed out on literally everything. Like, I would have missed out on so much of my school life, and then I was also very, very young for my grade, so I would have graduated at 17. I ended up still graduating at 18 after getting another year added. But the story is basically they've never really granted that to another year to anyone in Texas history who is just having a surgery or a medical issue. And with my story, they felt compelled to give me another year, actually. So it played out amazing. I was extremely blessed. So I came back as a junior that next year. So it was basically like I got to be where I was at. I didn't really miss out on much. And but it was really difficult because all my classes then were with different people. And wait, how did that play out? I think I have the story a little bit wrong. I think that I came back, had a senior year, and then I came back for a second senior year. That's how that played out. Sorry, it's been 7 years now, been a while. So I ended up having a second senior year. That was my last year in high school, and it was very, very difficult to adapt to the friend groups that I had never really cultivated, and everybody had their own little niches and cliques that I wasn't fitting into very well at first. And it was just really difficult to try to squeeze my way into that and in a way that was comfortable. And I was super insecure, and I know that a lot of people never saw that because I am very good at promoting myself to be confident. But I could tell that there was times where I just didn't really fit into those friend groups at the beginning. They ended up accepting me, and I got really close with some of those guys, and I still talk to a lot of them every day. But it was just, difficult at first. I was in my own head a lot. And so that's what that portion is. If you're doing something with sports, well, okay, I'm going to be all over the place with this story because I didn't put any structure to it because I wanted it to be very genuine and me guys explaining my scenario and my story just from the heart and how I remember it. So I didn't think about this really before talking, and I didn't put any notes down just because I wanted to be as genuine as possible. So if it bounces around a lot and it doesn't make a lot of sense, just try to stick with me here. with sports, my first senior year went really well also, but then, I missed my whole junior year, so I didn't get really any college offers, and I was granted another senior year. And whenever I got that second senior year, I was still 17 for the majority of the year, and I graduated at 18, like I said. And then I ended up being first team All-State, and I ended up having a really, really good year. I averaged like 25, 7, and 7, and 5 steals or something like that. It was a really, really good year for me, and I was extremely blessed, and God showed up in a lot of ways, and I worked extremely hard to get where I was at. And it just goes to show, like, if you're worried about getting the surgery because of the sports, if you put in the work and that you trust that God has his hand over what you're supposed to achieve in this life, then it's going to work out if it's meant to work out. You know what I mean? So it actually turned out to be negative at first, and I might have never even had that type of senior year if I didn't end up getting blessed with another one. So yeah, I just had to trust God through the moments of shit seeming really horrible. From there, I went to college, and I played 2 years in college. COVID hit. College was really, really difficult my freshman year because I still was extremely skinny. Like, graduated high school at like 115 pounds, and had to gain weight, was struggling with that, was struggling with lifting, was scared on putting weight on my chest, was scared to lift anything heavy. I was just scared and weak, and it was very, very new, and I was like 15 hours from home. Not that far. I was like 10 hours from home, and I just had to adapt, and I had one of my really, really good friends go to that college with me as well, and that helped me a lot get through everything and not being as alone. But shout out Darius, that's literally my best friend. But yeah, man, I just felt very alone, and having him there and having somebody that can really lean on and trust is amazing, because your parents are always going to be there for you, but it's hard to not think, well, they're my parents, they're going to be there for me, and they have the obligation to do so, whatever. As you get older, you understand that there's genuine relationships built there, but when you're younger, it's just like you feel very alone even if your parents are there for you. And I know that that's a weird concept to think, but people who get it, they understand. And having friends that were there for me in that way made it really a lot easier to get through everything. So freshman year, basketball went, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about sports, but basically when it comes to just the chest portion, I had to get my bars taken out after 2.5 years into college. And then I came back and I was able to play, and the recovery time was so much shorter than the original when I got the bars put in. I was back playing in like a month. So if you're worried about the bounce back after getting the bars taken out, there's not much of a recovery time there. It's going to be super simple in comparison to the original portion of it. And also, if you guys are scared to get the surgery, definitely don't recommend looking it up, because the day before the surgery, I looked up what does Nuss bar placement surgery look like and watched all these crazy ass YouTubes on it, and it's pretty brutal, and that scared me really bad. And I didn't almost back out, but I definitely was like, damn, like it made me scared. So don't watch those, and just trust God's going to protect you, and that you're doing it for the right reasons. It'll be okay. But yeah, I've kind of talked in circles for this. I just want to tell you guys that it's not as scary as you think. It's really difficult and it's hard, but it's cool, honestly. It's cool to go through something like that, because we all kind of crave hardships. And I know that's weird, but we all want to have something to overcome. And it brought a really cool part to my story that made my story worth telling, and made just my life more difficult, and had these hardships I had to overcome, and made for a cooler story. So I'm thankful for it at the end of the day, and my life has played out in the way that it has because of it. So if you guys are worried or nervous about doing it, just shoot my DMs, comment on this video. I'll try to get back with you guys and give you some answers. I'm going to go into more depth maybe further down the line one day, but as of right now, this is where I'm going to leave off on. So sorry for checking my phone, I'm getting a bunch of calls. But yeah, going to leave off on that. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any more questions, hit me up. As always, have a blessed one.